Hello traders, and welcome to a new video on Skew. So Skew is a site that I came across I think a month or two ago, and it provides all types of alternative data. So one key element of my channel is I really like to look for outside sources of data or data that most people typically don't look at. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. There's a ton of information on here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you guys through each of the pages that I find important and explain the edge behind each of these strategies. So this is the initial, I think is this the initial page? Yeah, Bitcoin futures. And what we get a lot of information from just this. These I don't really look at as much. I mean, this is just exactly what it sounds like, just the volume on the perpetuals. This is the price, and this is the BitMEX basis. And then what we have are liquidations, which is always pretty helpful. And then this is what I probably find the most helpful on this page. So this is open interest. And we can look at this from the USD open interest, or we can look at this from the Bitcoin open interest on BitMEX. So I've talked a lot about open interest on my channel before, and Tensor Charts does allow free access to open interest data. And what you can do, or if you don't want to use Tensor Charts, what you can use is you can use Skew, and you can zoom in as much as you want, and you can look at this data. So we can look for when was there a massive drop in open interest. It looked like it happened at 1336. So if I go into my trading view and I go to 1336, that's probably bottom, and yeah, it was. So right around here we had a pretty big loss in open interest, and then price rose. And I got all of that information from just looking at this and seeing that we went from 624 million down to an open interest value of about 621 million contracts. So about a loss in 3 million contracts. So this is one thing that you can use. You can look at the open interest on Bitcoin. Now, if we go to Ether futures, I think that they allow Ethereum open interest too. I would hope so. That'd be pretty cool. I don't think I've looked at Ether futures. Oh yeah, they do. Awesome. So they have open interest for Ethereum too. And you can see the basis here, so you can see when the BitMEX rate or the Coinbase rate diverged from one another. We can see here the BitMEX FUSD OI, the open interest. So if we look here, what patterns do we see on the USD open interest? Just basically a steady rise in open interest from 1146 up to 1407, which means when open interest rises, that means that both a long and a short have entered into a futures contract or into a perpetual swap contract. And if I go to FUSD, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, we got some consolidation. So we have open interest rising during consolidation, and that will typically lead to a high volatility move. So you can look at this as well. You can look at the funding, liquidations. We can look here, lots of cool data. But really, the focus of this video is probably going to be on liquidity, because I think this is the coolest feature that this site offers. So I talk a lot about BAS, I talk about MDR, I talk about all these kinds of order depth indicators. But one thing that I've never really seen before is an order depth indicator that does this. It's a little bit different of what it does, but I think it's really cool. So if we look at, let's do, which one should we do? Should we do 10 million or should we do 1,000 Bitcoin? Let's do 1,000 Bitcoin. Let's zoom in just so I can show it. So what this is showing us is basically when the bid, so the bidding is this blue, right? And then the offering or the limit sells are red. So the closer that this gets to zero, the stronger that the offers are near price. And the closer that the bids get to zero, the stronger that the bids are near price. Because what this is showing is for 1,000 Bitcoin, what percent does that go down? So if I wanted to sell 1,000 Bitcoin on BitMEX on XBT USD, is that 0.1% down of the bids, or is that 0.3%, or what is that? So when you see this getting very, very high, something like negative 0.04, that would mean that at that point in time, if you wanted to sell, if you wanted 1,000 Bitcoin of liquidity, you would only need to go down 0.04% in the order book, meaning basically there's very strong bidding at the top of the order book. So what we can do with this information is we can look for points in time when I could even zoom in more just to make this even more crystal clear. We can look for points in time where either the offers or the bids were very, very strong, and we have access to all of that information here. So what was a point in time where we actually saw consistent, very, very strong bidding? Well, I can see it here. We see that the bid is really close to zero. Oh, here it gets to like what? Yeah, it's very close to zero, so about 1150. So if I go to Bitcoin at 1150, that's where the bidding really became strong, and look at that. That was right at the base of the uptrend, right? And then price rose. How do we know that? Well, all I did was I just looked at this bidding here. And then during this uptrend, it looks like that the bidding did remain quite strong. Now, another really cool thing is that at 1150, at that point that I had talked about, take a look at how weak the offers are. They're not that strong. The bidding was up here. It would only take about 0.04% down in liquidity for 1,000 Bitcoin. But the offers had gotten a little higher, above, farther away from the zero value, which means that the offers would be a little bit weaker near price. So you can see that the offers were going up, not going up. The offer, this is why it gets a little bit tough, because this is a really different way of looking at order depth. Really what we're looking at is, the closer that this is to zero, the stronger that the bids are near price. And then the closer that this is to zero, the stronger that the offers are near price. So if this is rising, if this is up here, then the offers are pretty weak. So especially when we got to something like 1216, the offers became very weak at 1216, 1215. And what do we see at 1215 or 1216? Beautiful. Market bottom. Market bottomed around 1215, 1216, or right there. What did price do when the offers were really weak? Price rose. And that's not surprising, because all I'm doing is I'm just looking for offer weakness or offer strength and bid strength or bid weakness. And especially when you get not just these spikes, the bids are strong, the bids are weak, the offers are strong, the offers are weak. You want to see consistency. You want to see the bids are consistently strong, something like that. Or the offers are consistently weak, something like, this. Because this is going to shoot around a lot. But if you find that prolonged period of time where just the bidders haven't been that strong, then maybe the market is ready for a downtrend. So if I go super short term, just like really zoom in, I don't know how much data I can really get from this. I can see that the strongest time, the strongest that the bids had gotten was, I think, 1324, or was it here? I think it was about 1324. And we had some strong bidding right there, right around the 1324, and yeah, so that was this tiny mini uptrend here. When you zoom in this much to this liquidity, this is kind of what we get. You see a bit of a weak uptrend here. But what happened at 1339? That's what I am curious about, because that's where this market actually did bottom out. 1339 was here, and we saw that the offers actually had become quite weak at around 1337, 1338. They were kind of backing off, remember, away from the zero line, meaning that they're really not as strong. And the bids were pretty consistent, really nothing too crazy here, and price did rise. Here, actually, the bid, this is interesting. Look at this. So the offers became supremely strong for a short period of time. This went down, and this was only at a value of 0.03%. That means that there was 1,000 Bitcoin of liquidity, only 0.03% upward in the order book. So there's basically a lot of people trying to limit sell. And here we see, barely anyone trying to limit buy. We have a negative 0.21. So basically, strong selling strength and very, very weak buying strength, about 1352. And this is very extreme. So probably, let's go see what happened at 1352. Yep, market top, right there. Market top, and then price tried to get higher, and then we're going back down again, as you can see here. But I'm not surprised that 1352 was a market top, because you can just see just how strong these guys had gotten. And again, they got strong at 1406. 1406, I think, is that here basically? Oh yeah, that's basically when the market was in equilibrium, where the market was moving flat, and we actually saw the offers get quite aggressive, get quite strong, and now we had that. So this is one thing that you can look at. Now, do you have to look at the 1,000 Bitcoin? No, you could also look at the 10 million, which is saying, so how far up and down would I have to look for 10 million of liquidity? So if I wanted to market buy 10 million worth of XBT USD, how many offers would that take? What percent upward? Or if I wanted to market sell 10 million contracts, market sell 10 million contracts in a short, how much would that impact the bids? Would we go 0.5% down? Would we go 0.25 or wherever? I'm not saying one's better than the other. One may have more numbers, I guess. But this data, it all depends on whatever data you find more helpful, of course. If you find one more helpful than the other, then just use that. But here we can see, let's go back to that. I think it was 1352 that we had that interesting thing happen. Yeah, and it happened here too. You can see that the offers got super strong because remember, when the red line dips, sellers are strong. When the blue line dips, buyers are weak. So when these both dip, price is likely to dip. When these both rise, price is likely to rise. Because strong bidding tends to lead to a price rise. So yeah, 1352, you can see that price point, that at that point in time, that price did go down. And then the bids did regain strength here. And then at about 1355, 1356, they got a little bit stronger. And yeah, that makes sense because the market was down here and then the market went back up to there. So I know this is super short term, but you don't have to do this as short term as what I'm doing. You could instead use this information in more of a zoomed out purpose. You could look for overall how strong the bids have been and overall how strong the offers have been. So, this doesn't really help me, I would say. So I would probably want to zoom in a little bit. Even if I was trading medium term, I would do something like that. But just looking at the overall shape to see who's just typically been stronger. So something like this to zoom in. So yeah, you can see points of times where the bids got super weak, such as here at 2:45 a.m. This was probably a price rise. Was it a price rise? Because why were the bids that weak? 2:45, some shenanigans happened. That was actually a price fall, and then the bids just kind of fell apart. Yeah, perfect. So here, right as this was happening, right as this very, very, very strong downtrend, was doing its strong downtrend thing, the bids just fell apart. You could see it here at, we can even zoom in on that part just to be very, very crystal clear. At about 2:45, the bids just got super, super, super weak, as you can see. And yeah, and price did drop as a result, as you can see. So that's another way that you can use this. And all you have to do is just go to liquidity. There's a lot of other just super helpful things on this site that I really love. I don't think I have time to talk about this. I don't want this to be another half-hour video of me just, ranting and being like, oh, I love this tool so much. This tool is free, by the way. There's zero cost to any of this, and use it as much as you want. I think I do want to show one more. We've looked at Bitcoin futures, Ethereum futures, and we've looked at liquidity. How about we look at spreads? I forgot if this was the good one or if it was heat maps was the good one. But the basic strategy that we've gone over so far is basically open interest. Also looking at the basis, meaning looking at the difference between the Coinbase price and looking at the difference between the BitMEX price. We also, probably the best strategy here, or the easiest one to implement, or really the strongest strategy, is liquidity. And looking at the tiered 10 million or tiered 1,000 Bitcoin, where you can look for, hey, when were the bids really strong? Hey, when were the offers really strong? And then you can make trades based on that. Especially if you spot a point in time where suddenly the bidding becomes very strong and the offering becomes very weak, you could look to take advantage of that and start buying up in the short term, of course. This is a lot of, we're looking at implied volatility and realized volatility. Okay, is this beyond my pay grade? But let's just look at I think this means 1 month correlation matrix. This is pretty self-explanatory. So the correlation between Bitcoin and, let's say, ADA, this is actually really helpful. Looking at BNB to Bitcoin, it's a joke. Look at that correlation. 19%, very, very, very weak correlation. It's almost even like at a neutral or at a no correlation, But BNB and BTC are known to be not really best friends. They don't really move in tandem, kind of like BTC and ETH. Look, 84.68, of course. And then another pretty high one. Did I say a 90? No, I didn't say 90. My eyes are deceiving me. EOS. However you pronounce that coin. 78% with Bitcoin. But yeah, you can look at that. I think that this is kind of helpful And you can also look at the correlation between BTC and ETH over time instead of just looking at it, at this point in time. Okay, I think the final thing that I want to talk about is it the heat maps that's really interesting? Oh yeah, this one's really cool. So this is looking at a kind of data. I don't think I've ever talked about this before. So in the last 30 days, what has been the highest volume hour? So typically the 22nd hour, as you can see, hour 22 has the highest volume, and Wednesday has the most trading. Like, who would have thought? Everyone trades Bitcoin futures on Wednesdays for some reason. Sunday and Saturday are just like, there's like nothing here. That's kind of weird. And we can also look at, Monday, Tuesday, the exact ones here. So it looks like, is that Thursday? Yeah, Thursday 22 hour is like a ton of trading there, as you can see. Oh yeah, this is the bid offer spread. But this is really interesting as well, where you can look at kind of advanced metrics, and you could use this to be like, hey, when's a good time to trade? Hey, when's a good time to track the market? When's a good time to scalp? Because you may want to scalp in high volume, high volatility markets for that quick, for a quick profit. Okay, I think I said I would only do 3 of these tabs, but I couldn't control myself, so I'm going to do 5 of these tabs and then call it a day. So this is pretty cool too. This is looking at stablecoins, and I think this kind of speaks for itself. Actually, yeah, this is kind of cool. Probably the least cool of these. Am I going to get to 6? DeFi, I never really understood this. I think this is blockchain related. Yeah, I think this is blockchain related, or it has to do with like some other kind of coin. Yeah. No, maybe it isn't blockchain related. Oh, okay. I'll leave this to the people who understand this stuff, because I don't want to talk about this because I don't really understand this as much, so not my level of expertise. But yeah, overall I found that this site has been very, very helpful, and there's so many ways that you can harness the data from this site. It's free. It's just a great source of information, whether you want to trade open interest, whether you want to look at liquidity, whether you want to look at time of day that Bitcoin has the highest volume or volatility. I mean volume. You can do all that with this, and there's so many things that I didn't even really talk about. I mean, there's just so many other things you can look at here, which is pretty cool. All right, with that, guys, that's going to be it for the video. I hope this was helpful. The link in the description for this site, of course, is going to be down there, and another link in the description will be my price action volume guide and my professional day trading group if you would like to join. And I know for sure we're going to be talking about this tool a lot in that group. So enjoy the tool and happy trading.